Welcome to Behind the Line, where we pull back the curtain on the challenges facing first responders and frontline workers. The work you do is unique, and so are the stresses that go with it. Join me as we tackle key issues to reduce risks for burnout, and as we work to support you in doing the job you love without sacrificing being the kind of person you want to be. Hey there, and welcome back to Behind the Line. I'm your host, Lindsay Foss. If you're new to Behind the Line, what you should know about me is that I'm a clinical counselor specializing in trauma therapy. And after over a decade working with first responders and frontline workers around issues like burnout, compassion fatigue, PTSD, and related OSIs, I have become a passionate wellness advocate and educator for those who sacrifice so much for our communities out on the front lines. Behind the Line is a place for us to talk about the real life behind the scenes challenges facing you on the front lines. I created this podcast with the hope of bringing easy access to skills for wellness, allowing you to find greater sustainability both on the job and off. We are finishing up our series that we've been calling Normal People Problems, where we've been tackling challenges that impact everyone, like nutrition, finances, home management, and parenting. But we're looking at the unique challenges faced by those on the front lines, along with tools to help you manage these areas a little easier. Today, I'm joined by Christina and Naddine from Simply Organized for You. This dynamic duo joined me to talk about home organization and managing the chaos. I needed this one, you guys. And I hope you take some practical pieces away from it too. Here we go. Welcome, Christina and Naddine. I'm so glad to have you here with me. I actually, of all of the episodes that we're doing as part of this being normal thing, I think this is the one I personally am the most excited about because I feel like it's the one I personally have the most to benefit from. And so I'm really excited for this conversation. We were talking before we jumped on that I've got young kids and I feel like my life is chaos a lot of the time. And so any little hints you guys have from your work, I'm really excited to glean and take home myself before anyone else gets to hear them. But I'm also really excited to share you with our audience because I know for a lot of them, between like for many working shift work, many working in like 2-income households where everyone's just really busy, right? Everyone's working, everyone's got stuff. It's hard to keep up. And so I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are really excited to hear any of the feedback you guys have to share around ways we can like simplify, modify, be more intentional with how we're doing our home lives so that we can maybe feel less overwhelmed by them. That's the dream anyways, I think. So let's start with having each of you just have a minute to tell me a little bit about yourselves and what led into your work.
Okay. Well, first of all, we just want to thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. We're excited to be here.
Yes. Yes. But go ahead, Naddine. You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, so much like yourself, I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur. I've dabbled in different industries, mostly working in the sales positions. I've also done fundraising and event planning. And most recently, before we started, I worked in home renovations and I managed a home renovation project.
Okay.
I've lived in different countries. I lived in Switzerland, New York. Well, that's part of the United States, but I also lived in California. So orchestrating all of those international moves, settling my family, I learned a lot about that, packing, unpacking, working with overseas companies, relocation agents. So planning and, going through that process was something that I have in my back pocket now. So I understand those stresses that people go through as well. And basically, I love working with people and love what we do. And we, Christine and I, just before COVID started, I just finished my position and she just finished her contract, and we sat down and had a coffee, and that's how we got into our business. But our background led us up to our meeting and how we morphed into Simply Organized for You. So that's basically my little story.
Totally love it. And Christina, how about you? How did you get here?
Well, that's a great question. I tend to get my nose involved in everything. So I enjoy knowing a little bit about everything, but my background is in business and operations. And my last gig was helping people kind of kickstart their small business. And because I have some sales background, marketing, and operations, it led me to a company that was a staging company. And, so buying, selling homes was who we were supporting. But we noticed there was such a demand for helping people get to that point where they're ready to sell. And then, of course, my husband and I, we renovated 9 homes, always while living in them. So we would, jump into a house with the kids. And the kids, you want to talk subfloor, the kids know what a subfloor is. Mm-hmm. So they get the whole process of renovating, and they were kind of our demo crew. So we got them involved as a little family thing. Anyway, we worked our way to where we are today, just like Naddine said, about seeing that there was such a need where people would say, I'm so organized at work, but my home life is a disaster. Mm-hmm. And so, you just wanted to help. And then we got our expertise just from helping people. And of course, getting some training that it was kind of self-imposed training. And realized we had such a great thing going, because people would comment like, you've saved me, or you've
given us hope.
You've given us hope.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You've given us hope again.
You've given us hope. And I can't believe that I actually see my floor because, there's stuff everywhere.
It's like a magical thing to see.
Magical thing to see. Or, thanks for giving me those tips. Now I'm going to work with those, and we still get recommendations from people that we saw a couple of years ago at the very beginning when we first started, which is such a compliment to us. Totally. So that's kind of how it all morphed. We love helping people, and people will say that all the time. Oh, we love helping people. But we really love helping people because we're kind of therapists of a different sort, Totally. Kind of the hands-on therapist where you see clothes flying. So people really love that. And so there you go. Hopefully I've answered that question. I could get into way more detail. Last an hour.
It's good. I love it. I actually really appreciated Naddine's piece about the moving. Like, one of the things I know I found really tricky is I grew up moving quite a lot. Like, there was a stretch of time where between my family and I moved 10 times in 10 years. And we had moved from Alberta to Massachusetts, and then Massachusetts to Illinois within 9 months, and then Illinois back to Canada. And it's, to do that, you cull a lot of things. And so I learned really young to not get super attached to stuff.
Same.
Right? Because you had to fit it on a truck, and you were being charged for the move by weight. And so my mom, I remember being like 13 and my mom handing me a banker's box and saying, whatever you can fit in here that's sentimental to you, you can keep. Anything that doesn't fit goes. Yes. And it was like this. I mean, when you're 13, everything's sentimental. Like, everything means something to you. Like, every stuffy still has like childhood value, but every like note from your best friend also matters. And it, like, that process was hard, but after a while, it was like a no-brainer. It was just like, oh yeah, it's all crap, and it's like, it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, I'm married to someone whose parents still live in the same house that they built before he was born, when they were first married.
Right. Yes.
And he hasn't ever culled a thing in his life. And so one of the interesting dynamics that we find in our experiences living together is he has this tendency to like want to keep all of the things. And I'm like, none of it matters. None of it matters. Like, why do we have have this, get rid of it. And so I remember when we were like moving out of the baby phase, and it was time to start getting rid of some of this stuff. And for him, he's like, but that has, and when they were little, and we have to keep, and I'm like, get rid of it. We'll keep like those 4 things that I actually feel like I want to cry if we got rid of them, and the rest of it, junk. Just get it out of my house.
I think that's why we both find it easy to help people as well and disassociate, because we both have moved a lot as well.
So we get the process and not so much the process, but we get the emotion that's attached to it too. Because you can't help but attach yourself to something that was important for you at that very time. But there are other important things that have come along the way. So you just have to juggle that and figure it out.
And keep the most important, right? Like that's what we'll tell our clients sometimes. Let's put that aside and we'll make a decision on that later if they have a difficult time trying to let that go. And then we revisit it. And oftentimes, actually 9 times out of 10, they're like, okay, I'm ready. But you just need to give them that time. So for sure. So I would say we can read our clients pretty well at this point. We've become little psychologists.
Totally. I mean, it's an emotional process, and for sure there's a lot of psychology built into those decisions and the ways that we choose to value things and how we prioritize valuing a thing over valuing the simplification of my life without that thing. And so often I think in life, we're so busy just going through the motions of day to day, like what's the next meal I have to make? And then where's the next place I have to run a kid? And then what's the next, right? Like what's the next left curveball I'm going to be thrown? Mine right now is sick children, right? Like we're always kind of the next thing that we don't necessarily take the time to look at all of our things and go, is this serving me well? Is it not serving me well? Would the space this leaves behind, if it were gone, serve me better than this currently serves me? Like it's an intentional process, and you guys would be entering into that in a way that is unique, right? And not like people's normal Tuesday.
Because things can be weighing, right? Like the energy it weighs on an individual can sometimes become so overwhelming that it becomes debilitating.
Totally.
And also people are at different stages of that stress. They're either being told by a family member that they can't handle the mess anymore, or can't handle the clutter, or they themselves are at that stage where they can't handle the clutter. But it's also being in tune with where are they at in the process of frustration, and where are they at in the process of being ready to make decisions to let go of certain things.
Okay, you guys. So tell me what your connection is to first responders and frontline workers. And are there any unique challenges that you've seen working with that kind of category of people?
Well, much like first response workers, I would say, they want to help people. That's their first priority. And that's us. We just want to help people, and we genuinely want to help people. And as Christina mentioned earlier, we have clients from all spectrums, and we've gotten really good at being able to zero in and tailor our offering to each one of those clients, what they might need, how much extra care they might need. Again, much like a first responder, right? So
I think, like it's your own version of triaging.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. And it's just such a natural process for us at this point, and working together. It's even gone as far as like immediately she will jump in because she might have better techniques with that client, and the same, for me, we're just so in sync now. We understand when one needs to pull back and go over here, and one needs to focus a little bit more on the client, because we just intuitively know that they'll be really good with that person. So yes, 100%. Yes.
We actually have had the opportunity of working with RCMP officers, with nurses. No doctors yet.
Psychologists.
And we've just noticed, I guess the common thread is I get home and I am done. I'm physically and mentally done. And of course, because we started up during COVID, we saw that even more. And people were just, unfortunately, taking their work life home with them as well. You just can, it's just a natural thing. It's going to happen. It's hard to break. And so, you're bringing all this fatigue with you. And when it comes to coming home and then, okay, my second job is, well, it's actually my first job is taking care of my family, but it's now become second. And the house has become, 52nd because you just don't have the time. But you still have to feed everybody and you still have to take care of everybody. So you do have time as the kids are growing, you have to buy them bigger clothes, but do you have time to sort through the stuff that doesn't fit them anymore? Absolutely not. So it starts to add up. So that's kind of where we come in and, and help them through that process. And then there's the emotional process attached to what I keep and what I donate. Do I keep the booties or do I get rid of the fifth set of booties? And you know what I'm getting at.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Behind the Line is sponsored by Beating the Breaking Point. Beating the Breaking Point is a 7-part online training program designed specifically for first responders and frontline workers, and tailored to fill the gaps in your training to support resilience and sustainability. Whether you're new to the work and wanting to cultivate tools to prevent burnout, compassion fatigue, and related concerns, or you are deep into your years on the job and have gone a few rounds with burnout and other mental health challenges, this program offers the foundational pieces you need to support personal and professional wellness for the long haul. You are a helper. You love your work and you sacrifice a lot. Investing in you and your sustainability is the best gift you can give yourself and those who lean on you. We make this program as risk-free as possible by offering a limited money-back guarantee to ensure that it's a fit for you. If you enjoy Behind the Line, you are going to love this program. Google Beating the Breaking Point Lindsay and find everything you need to get started, or use the link in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. Well, and I'm curious, so given some of those experiences working with RCMP and nurses and psychologists and people kind of in that category, do you find that there are unique challenges and or some unique solutions to some of those challenges? Like, how is it different working with them compared to working with other people?
Well, I do think across the board, all of our clients have similarities.
Yeah.
And that is they feel overwhelmed in their space, and they get to a point where they don't want to be like that anymore. Right? We've heard it. And then we've heard it time and time again where we get into their space and they're like, I never used to be like this.
Yes.
I was always an organized person.
Yeah.
Right? Right. It happened. We hear it all the time. But probably the biggest difference is they give so much at their work from our experience working with them, and they work long hours and they're really invested. Yeah. Some like what we are, but we have the ability to separate that emotion. But they are right in it with them, listening to people's problems, sitting there and trying to solve everything for them. Or, they have no room for error, really. If they're a doctor prescribing medications, there's no room for error. They have to be 150% on all the time. Yeah. So, I think that that's a major difference.
Can I add to that?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
There's also the fact that they're looked to for help and assistance, and knowledgeable about what they do. People look to them and go, like, help me, save me, or, fix this. When they come home, there's almost an embarrassment, if you could believe it. Like we on the phone, we're like, I'm so embarrassed because we ask our clients to send us pictures so we get an idea of the situation they're in. And like, I don't know if I could send them quite yet. I have to tidy up beforehand. I'm like, no, just send them.
Right, like, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point. don't worry about tidying up. It's like you tidy up before the cleaning lady comes, like, no, don't do that. Not that we have cleaning ladies, but people have said like, oh yeah, I have to tidy up before the cleaning lady comes. Well, similarly, there's such an embarrassment because they're looked at as these pillars within their community. Like everybody looks up to a fireman or a nurse, and it's like, thank you. We'll be at a coffee shop and we see police come in, and we always thank them for doing what they do. But then when they get home, everything falls apart and they're embarrassed. And so we really make sure that embarrassment is human, that there is no embarrassment. They're just being a human being, and accept that. And then from there, boom, now we can help you.
Right.
And it just goes so much better.
And I'm going to add one thing definitely is once our clients, whomever they are, as soon as they pick up the phone and they're ready, they talk to us. And even if they feel nervous, within 3 minutes, they feel at ease with us. We just have a way about making people feel comfortable and okay. What's the word? They just feel at ease. They feel
at ease. Yeah, they feel it's important.
Not judged.
Yeah,
because we don't judge. We just don't judge because we get it. People come from different backgrounds and different stress levels and different situations, and we just want to help. And they feel that right away when they speak on the phone with us.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we know them when we come to their door. Like, it's like, you're here.
Yeah.
They're so excited.
Awesome.
They're so excited.
Well, and that's
so
kind of that
like
relational
it's so
piece.
fulfilling for us. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's that relational piece, right? Like we feel at ease when we feel connected to people.
Yes.
And you guys are easy to connect to. So I can appreciate that would be a piece for people. I do think one of the pieces of feedback. Oh, sorry, say that again.
No, I say we're kind of like fairy godmothers, we kind of float in and help out.
What a fun job.
And then float back out.
Well, we do have a couple.
I just get to be a fairy godmother. We just make people's day better. I mean, it's actually the thing that I thought of. One of the pieces of feedback I've had from a number of clients I've worked with is this piece of like, so a lot of first responders talk about this idea of how they never know the end of a story. So if you talk to any first responder, whether it's a police officer, a paramedic, or a firefighter, or a nurse, whoever you talk to in the spectrum will say, I handled this chunk and then I turf the person off to the next thing. And I don't know what happens after that. Right. So like fire will be there first because usually fire's there first. And then fire turfs to medics. And so fire doesn't see what happens once they drive away in the ambulance. And they're like, I don't know if they live or die or okay or not. I don't know. And then I go do it again with the next person. Yeah. And then medics turf to the emerge and they don't know what happens after that a lot of the time. The emerge nurses turf to a unit. They don't know what happens after that a lot of the time. And so there's a lot of like incomplete. And then I hear a lot of people who are like, and then I go home to my house and it feels like a losing battle and it feels the same. Like no matter how many times I make the bed, I'm going to have to make the bed again tomorrow. No matter how many times I organize the playroom, I come back home and it's a disaster again. So it just feels like this like re-traumatizing almost experience for them.
Yes.
That they already live in their work and then they relive versions of that in their home. And I think it's really tricky because I think without like systems that help protect us differently inside of our houses so that we aren't feeling like it's such a losing battle all the time.
Right.
It creates this experience, like a relationship to my home where I walk in and go like, ugh, like it feels like the same as at work, just in a different way.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we never thought of it that way, right? Where there's no continuum.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, we're going to have to remember that when we're working with people.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious about, I want to be mindful of our time because I know that you guys have a project to run to from this. So what are some of the key pieces that first responders and frontline workers should be aware of or keep in mind when it comes to maintaining and managing their homes?
Okay. Well, I have a whole list, but I'll just
You've got like I can see you like, where do I
start? Well, similarly, when they're helping somebody, there's and we've as mothers, we've had tons of experience with ambulance drivers,
Yeah.
ambulance paramedics helping our kids, because both our kids, one has this and the other one has this, and we've
experienced it many times.
Oh yeah. My daughter's like, ambulance. That's old school. I know how to tackle that. ER, been there, done that. 5-6 times in 1 year. Yeah, but we won't get into the details. But you know how there's the approach when a frontline person walks in, a nurse walks in, they're so calm and they don't get revved up, because their energy then, if they are nervous, is going to pass on. And it's similar tackling your home life, is don't sweat the small stuff. It could be an overused piece of advice, but frankly, it helps. Like, you don't worry if there is a bed that still needs to be made. It's okay if you make it 2 p.m. when you get back from your shift, or don't worry about it. Nobody is going to say, in your eulogy, well, she never made the bed until 2:00 in the afternoon. It's no big deal. But mentally, that action does help clear the clutter. So similar to having systems at work and methodologies, you have to instill that in your home life as well. Look to a process, like you look to a process, pardon me, when you're identifying the seriousness of a patient, you do the same thing at home. Go through the process. Don't tackle the entire house at once, because that's going to be overwhelming. Tackle a specific room that is really driving you crazy, if that's what you need to clear up. Because if you avoid that room, because that is your biggest problem room, and you just do the other small areas, that bigger problem area is just going to get bigger and bigger. Yeah. So, and that's what we've noticed, pardon me, that's what we've noticed with our clients is, I've just left this room because it just drives me nuts. But sometimes that's the one that you need to go to first. Tackle that one, and then the rest will be like a piece of cake, because you've just realized, heck, I was able to tackle that.
Yeah, it's somewhat empowering.
It is empowering, yeah.
And we like to empower our clients as well. Get them involved.
And then, and I could, kind of merge into tips and tricks to do that.
Yeah.
I could mention.
Yeah, go for it. So what would those be?
Well, first of all, you have to put yourself first, because in your job, you put everybody else first. That's the nature of your job. So you get home, and of course you're putting everybody else first too. The kids have to eat. Your partner is starved and hasn't had time to make dinner. So you kind of have to figure things out right away. Ordering out goes up exponentially, so it becomes costly. But if you put yourself first and you identify what makes you happy and settled, automatically everybody around you will feel that happiness and be happy. And we have a thing at home where we identify when we walk through the door, how was your day? What worked, what didn't work, without getting into too much detail. And it really helps, because it allows you to vent, but in a positive way. I had a really bad day today, but the positive part is I get to come home and see you guys. And creating that positive mindset really makes a difference. And then people feel like, okay, there's hope. We're going to have a happy evening. What are we going to do? Let's tackle it together. And when you do tackle those areas, keep in mind that it was a procrastinating area. So allow yourself the time to just go through it, little bits and bobs. You don't have to get it all done in one day. You don't give yourself a plan. That plan could be a hit list of 3 things. I'm going to unpack these boxes, because when we moved, we never got a chance to unpack them. Okay, so that's the first thing. Don't unpack them. Find a place for them. Get rid of. Just slow, take it easy on yourself.
Yeah. Don't judge.
And don't judge yourself either.
Yeah.
And then make those decisions. And then the next day or the next week is like, okay, we're going to tackle what we're going to donate because it's a feel good to donate. And if I really want to keep that massive bear that's, 4 feet tall and fuzzy and full of dust, let's take a picture of him. And then that picture will stay with us, but the bear is going to go to another happy place and also free up like 6 square feet of space. So, you know what I mean? So it's those things.
Can I just add something?
Yes,
I think it's important, of course, like not judging yourself for sure. Because I think that's what happens. You just start judging that, oh my God, I used to be so organized. What happened? So you're like, oh, and you just keep letting it pile because you're lacking time and energy and motivation. And they all just sort of go in this melting pot of, you just end up flat, right?
Yeah.
But reaching out for help. So, often clients that we've spoken to, they said, well, I tried to reach out to my mother or my sister or they tried to help, but it's just not working because there's judgment, right? With family members. Why are you like this? Whatever happened? And then it becomes,
I taught you better than this.
We should keep that because we've always had that in the family. So there's that. So sometimes like that, well, actually, that's why our company works because people have gotten to the point and it's very much an accepted industry and it really works well together with your work. And because there's all this psychology behind it. And if there's a cluttered home, there's a cluttered mind and it's just so basic, right? So you want to add something?
I do. Can you tell?
Yeah. She's like,
I do want to say that if your finances can't afford to get outside help, that's okay. Use your family, use your kids, use whomever, but set the parameters.
Yeah.
Set the parameters and say, I'm the decision maker. I'm the one who gets to decide if I keep this glass or not. Because blah, 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 because of the sentimental value. But they become only your helper in terms of taking the item and putting it in the donate pile, or taking the item and putting it in the garbage pile, or taking the item in the keep pile. It's important to assign the responsibility, because that's what clients have told us is, oh, they want to take over and they want to help and they tell us keep this and keep that. And I'm like, I'm not ready to get rid of it. And that's the frustration. So if you are able to have help from your family, awesome, but let them know these are the rules.
What we do is we like to give our client the control in their environment and empower them. And I think that's the positive outcome of having, people like ourselves coming into your home, whether it's once or whether it's, we also have clients that book us frequently, is empowering them. Right?
Well,
and
that's the piece, right? At the end of the day, it's their life.
Right. Because if you feel like you're in control, and I think that's what's happening is when they go home, they're not feeling in control.
Yes.
So I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
A really big
thing. Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like, it's like a retraining, right? Because it's not just about this moment in time. It's also about the future moments in time. Like, what will you bring back into your home? And right? And so if it's just you guys coming in and like doing the clean sweep and calling it all, they don't learn how to sit with the question. Like when I go to the store and I'm in HomeSense and everything's pretty.
Right.
And it's all relatively affordable, right?
Yeah.
I can look at it all and just be like, all of it comes home. But then if I've gone through this process, I don't want to do it all the time. And so I might sit right. I've been retrained to sit differently with the question of like, is this really what I want to bring into my home? Knowing that I have to now, this is a thing I now have to dust. Am I really excited about, like, do I love this so much that every time I dust it, I'm going to feel great about that? Yeah. Or is it not worth the shelf space it's about to take up in my life? when, like, in 3 years, am I going to wish I hadn't spent money on this and be donating it, right? Like, I might sit differently with those questions when I've been empowered to ask them.
Right. So just quickly, what I think is, because we've seen it so many times, when there's a lack in one area in their life that they don't feel in control, they go outside. So that's when they buy too much, right? Mm-hmm. Either they can't find it, or it's just this pattern. So you keep buying because it's filling a void,
and it's making you happy.
Right, that momentary joy. And it's always the challenge, right? Like in life, the short term versus the long term kind of satisfaction.
We call it retail therapy. We call it retail therapy. Everybody's familiar with retail therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Even we do it.
I call it retail therapy.
We do it. But there's a kind of rule behind it. If you are going to buy something and bring it home, then you have to get rid of something too. Or else the mountain of clothes or items just add up.
Yeah.
And a segue to what you said about going to HomeSense and getting a pretty container. Yes, getting a pretty container, though, that will fill your need and truly help you in your systems of staying organized is really key. And so, and those are other things that we add, but it's not so much about, what our service is. It's about how we can help people and how they can help themselves too. Because we'll counsel people on, sure, go, buy exactly this. But the caveat is you have to be wowed by it. Like when we tell people, we'll get it for you and we bring it to their home, they have to be like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was looking for. And they have to have the same reaction when they go and buy something. Don't just buy it because.
Or walk away from it the first time.
Yeah.
Right? You walk away from, that's a good test. Just walk away from it the first time. And then if you're thinking about it still a few minutes later, right? Like, careful choices, but
Okay, I'm aware that you guys need to race off to something else. Are there any parting thoughts before we end?
We have our dog here.
Oh my goodness.
That's Frankie.
Frankie, come.
Frankie is our assistant. Yeah.
What a cute assistant.
Everybody,
oh my goodness. Hey, Frankie.
This is Frank. Hi, Frankie Pants.
She has 3 dogs. I have a dog. Okay. Oh, she has 3 dogs and a cat, and I have 1 dog and a cat. And wherever we're working, they're all over us.
They're along for the ride. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it was really great opportunity to speak with you.
Great to have you guys. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks again to Christina and Naddine for taking the time to join me today. Don't forget to check the links in the show notes if you want to learn more about their work. Their website and Instagram links can be found there, and I promise you want to go check them out. If for no other reason than the soothing feeling when you look at their pretty photos. I also want to take time to say a big thanks to you, my amazing listeners, for continuing to spend time with me here. I know that you could choose to spend your time in a lot of places, and I feel really honored that you choose to spend it with me. If you value this podcast and want to help us in our mission to support frontline wellness, there are 3 ways that you can do that. Number 1, rate and review Behind the Line on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening. We love when you add comments and testimonials. It's great to hear your feedback. Number 2, follow me on social media at Lindsay A. Foss and engage with me and this amazing little community that we're building there. Every time that you like, comment, and share our posts, you help us to spread like wildfire, thanks to the magic of the algorithm. And number 3, share this resource and our other resources with those you know. Whether that's forwarding our weekly newsletters onto your friends and coworkers, listening to the podcast as part of a team meeting, or using our burnout indicators checklist and triage guide as a staff-wide tool, every little bit helps us take our mission to the next level and serve those who are sacrificing so much to serve our communities out on the front lines. Know that we can be found online on our website, on most major podcast platforms, as well as on YouTube. We make all of our resources available to you because the work you do matters. But more than that, you matter. And we want to make sure that you have what you need to keep up the good work at work, as well as in your real life outside of work. So use it and share it. And until next time, stay safe.